Happy Sunday. Well, if you're tuning in from Chicago, I am hoping you are not too waterlogged. It's been a heck of a storm today, and it just felt very much spring and a wet spring day. Tonight, I wanted to kind of take a different aspect. I know we've talked a lot about kind of how the market's doing and the impacts of the market, but I wanted to look at a different side of the market and how it's been impacted by the stay-at-home orders. In the beginning, I should say in the beginning to middle of April, Realtor.com performed a survey. They surveyed 1,300 consumers, people that were actively searching for a home, and they wanted to understand how their search criteria was changing based on the stay-at-home order, how people's priorities had maybe changed since our living conditions had changed. Now, the 1,300 people, it was a very, very diverse group of people. It was from all over the country, men, women, ages 18 to 80, living in 2 to 5 unit buildings, 5 to 9 unit buildings, 10 plus unit buildings, single family homes and townhouses, parents and non-parents, as well as people renting and owning. So they really kind of diversified the whole group so that they weren't steering results or anything like that, and really trying to understand where people were trying to get a little bit of a different perspective. And they found that there were definitely some things that changed in the way that people were looking home. Now, it was a little bit of interesting results to me. Some of it's a little bit conflicted, and some of it, there are things that I would have thought would have been more important to consumers, but maybe weren't, or things that we're seeing within our Chicago market, which are becoming bigger priorities, but maybe aren't. So for example, lower on the list, first and foremost, home offices. We're actually seeing the opposite in the city. We are seeing that home offices are becoming a little bit more important, or a space for a home office. But as a whole, from the national survey, that is lower on the list of more important things. It's still on the list, but not as high. Along with that are home gyms. That's once again something that I feel like there's been a pressure towards, is where's the room for my Peloton bike? Where's the room for the mirror? Where can I do some workout yoga classes? But once again, according to the survey, that was lower on the list of things that had become more important. Now, and the funny thing is the number one thing, and just by a slight margin, that came onto the list, but it's directly conflicting with something that's lower on the list, is people asking for a more quiet neighborhood. Which then you would think, okay, well, does this mean that they want to be in a more rural or suburban area? Which there's been a lot of discussion of that. Conversely, at the bottom of the list was a more isolated location. So that was on the list, but it was very far down towards the bottom. So people want a quiet neighborhood, but they don't necessarily want to feel isolated. In fact, it's interesting. One of the trends that we're seeing right now is that we have quite a few consumers that live in the city, that are looking in the suburbs for a rental for the summer months, but they don't want to buy there. They just want to find a place to kind of weather the storm with the intentions of coming back to the city after it's done. I thought that was kind of an interesting trend that we're seeing. So anyways, so a quieter neighborhood, but not necessarily a more isolated neighborhood. That was the number one. The number two, this one is no surprise to any of us, more outdoor space, yard, patio, whatever the case may be. More outdoor space has become a big priority, because obviously our public outdoor spaces are now being enjoyed on a much more limited basis. So that was up there. The other thing, no surprise in this one as well, the third highest ranking was a better, newer, more functional kitchen. We are cooking at least 3 meals a day in our kitchens right now. And so with that being said, people have really looked to their kitchen as the central point of their home and said, this is an area for improvement. Other things that came up on the list, natural light. Once again, I think that has to do with people being a little bit more stuck in their homes. Vitamin D, light making us just feel better emotionally. So that was a top trend. Better storage came up as well. There was definitely on the list was another bathroom. So now we have, especially in some crowded families, we have more people using the same bathrooms on a more regular basis. So there was also a trend for that. I'm trying to see if I've missed any. Flexible spaces, something that could be a craft area, a game room, and an office. So that came up on the list too. And that touches on a lot of them. So interesting to note how some people's priorities have changed a little bit in terms of their search criteria. Also good to know in case somebody is looking to sell in the next 6 to 12 months that these are the things that are becoming more important for people. So quieter neighborhood, not necessarily more isolated, a better, newer kitchen, and more outdoor space. Those are kind of the three big takeaways. Lower down on the list, the home office, the home workout. People aren't quite so interested to get to an isolated neighborhood. So I thought that those were some good takeaways, a little bit of a different type of real estate data point that we don't dive into quite as much, but one that I think is very relevant for our consumers and more importantly, our sellers moving forward. So on that note, tomorrow starts a new week. I want you to remember to be kind. Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourselves. Take care of one another. Take care of yourself. Be ever so smart in your social distancing, now more than ever. Be grateful and have gratitude towards the essential workers, the first responders, all of those that are out there that deserve our ultimate respect. I am thrilled to have you as part of my journey through this. You guys give me strength and support. I hope I bring some of that to you as well. We are doing it. We are doing it well. And I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be well.